started, we just have a couple of requests. Number one, we have varying degrees of restraint. But please don't flop down in these chairs. They will not hold you. They will roll. So, hold, squat, and scroll. Okay, that's what I will be doing. So I'm letting you know that in the activity. And then we're also asking, because people are still coming in, they're signing in, if you can move a little closer, so when they come in, they don't have to crawl over people or try to find a seat, so they can just slide in the back. So we are just so glad that you're here this morning. We're going to be ready.
Good morning. We are the Coalition on Urban Girls, and we are here united in one collective sound, a sound that represents strength, resilience, shared purpose we carry as we continue in this important work. My name is Kamisha Jones-Brandon. I am the MC for today. I'm the Executive Director of Sister Akia Community Care, where our vision is for mental wellness care to be accessible and achievable for any woman who needs it. So I will be your lead navigator throughout this day. But before we move forward, we must also recognize the importance for caring not just for the girls that we serve, but for ourselves as well, especially in these times. It is through this balance of care, both inward and outward, that we can truly create a lasting impact. So with that, I'd like to invite Erica to the stage to officially welcome us and set the tone for this powerful conversation that will lie ahead.
So good morning, everyone. You can do better than that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So my name is Erica Brown. I am the founding executive director of Polsky Mentoring. Polsky provides mentoring services for Black and brown girls on the South and West Side of Chicago who have experienced vicarious trauma and violence. So on behalf of the Coalition of Urban Girls, I want to extend a warm welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us today as we embark on this journey The stories shared, the conversations you engage in are not just numbers. They're academic findings. They represent real lives of real girls who face challenges, adversity in our city today, and we must face them together. Our white paper, Are the Girls Well? Take a deep, honest look at the state of urban girls in the city. The findings from this report reveal the profound inequities of health, safety, education, emotional well-being that urban girls face, especially Black brown girls from low-income communities. But this event isn't just about identifying the problem. It's about creating a sustainable solution. It's about how we all come together as policymakers, researchers, community leaders, moms, sisters, aunties, caregivers, girls themselves to create a path forward. As we begin, I want to remind all of us that our focus today is not just the numbers, it's not our babies, it's not our girls. Yes. It's about the girls behind these numbers, the girls behind these pictures, the girls behind these stories. And we are here not to just listen, but what? Act. Let's say it together. We are here to act. We are thrilled to have you. We are excited to explore how we all can work together to answer questions when asked. Are the girls well? My name is Erica Brown. Thank you.
So, for those of you all who are joining us for the first time, and also friends who have been connected to CUB, I want to give an overview of the mission and vision and the leadership of CUB. So, CUB's mission is to improve girls' health, safety, and wellness through advocacy, policy, research, cross-sector collaboration, and training. And the vision is that CUB strives for a society in which all girls are well. We work towards eliminating barriers to girls' success and ensuring that every girl has the opportunities and access she needs to thrive. CUB was founded by visionary leader and urban girls advocate Sharita Morrison. Please let's hear. And CUB is currently led by its executive director, Aisha Garrett. She's back here, she's still back now. And steering committee members representing girl-serving organizations across Chicago. CUB embodies the transformation of well-being of girls to meet and surpass their full potential through collective leadership and advocacy. So now we will have Dita who will step forward and give a history of CUB.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Gita Massey, and I am the founder and executive director of Real Beauty. You can spell R-E-L. And I am also the vice chair of this incredible organization, proudly the vice chair of the Coalition of Chicago Coalition of Urban Girls. And so I stand before you here this morning to give you the history of traditional urban girls. So we were founded in 2010 as the Southside Coalition on Urban Girls by Demoiselle to Them, nonprofit. The coalition emerged in response to the critical needs highlighted in the status of girls in the Illinois report in 2009. Initially focused on Chicago's South Side, the coalition conducted extensive research, including surveys and focus groups with over 580 girls, to identify key health priorities. Over 7 years, CUB engaged in a broad array of initiatives, including educational programs, community awareness campaigns, the annual Girls on Fire conference, and the publication of a resource guide, Girls in the City, the Southside Edition. These efforts reached over 117 organizations and impacted more than 10,000 girls, underscoring a deep commitment to gender equity and the well-being of Chicago urban girls. In 2017, to expand its influence, CUB evolved from a regional to a citywide focus, establishing a steering committee to govern and guide its efforts. Making its official launch as the Coalition on Urban Girls on the International Day of the Girl in 2018, CUG released Girls in the City, a status report on teen girls residing in Chicago, which detailed pressing issues and established priority areas including adolescent health, SEL, social emotional learning and trauma, violence and justice, and educational and economic equity. These areas have since directed the Coalition's quarterly meetings, advocacy efforts like SB 100, strategic campaigns, Girl No More, training, and other initiatives. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, CUG assessed its impact on 57 local girl-serving organizations through a collaborative research project with interns from Adler University. The study reveals significant challenges in governance, programming, and sustainability, promoting a strategic reevaluation of CUG's operations and supporting its constituents. As CUG prepares for a pivotal relaunch, allow us to reintroduce ourselves. It is refocused on harnessing the collective power of girls and community leaders to drive advocacy, establish a girl-centered research hub, and place the needs and voices of girls at the forefront of urban policy and community health strategies that need to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Nita. All right, so now we are going to hear from girls. Before we dive deeper into today's conversation, we're going to take a moment to hear directly from the girls themselves. As a part of our pre-launch event, we invited a group of girls to reflect on their wellness and to create vision boards to represent their hopes and dreams for a brighter future. These powerful voices remind us why we are here today, to center the well-being of urban girls in Chicago. Please take a moment to watch this video where their voices, creativity, and aspirations come to life. And I want to acknowledge a couple of the organizations that made this pre-launch event possible. Lakeisha Gray Sewell from Girls Like Me Project. Kalia Marsh from Build Chicago. And Ms. Gina Ramirez, founder and CEO of Party for Purpose. Just one moment. sponsor, C&B Group. And Eva, can you wave your hand? We want to thank you for your support of the Coalition on Urban Girls. We also want to thank the Polsky Exchange for welcoming us to their space today. And lastly, sip and savor all of those good treats and drinks that you're having have come from Sip and Savor. So we will come back to the video later on, but it is my great honor to introduce Sharita Morrison, an esteemed leader whose work is driven by an unwavering commitment to equity, empowerment, and community-driven change. Currently, Sharita serves as an associate director of the Alliance for Research with Chicagoland Communities. Sharita's leadership continues to exemplify her dedication to fostering collaborative, research-informed solutions that address systemic inequities faced by urban girls in Chicago. As the founder of unveiled and the Coalition on Urban Girls, which began as the Southside Coalition on Urban Girls, Sharita has dedicated over 30 years. Over 30 years to championing the needs of girls in urban environments. She has led efforts to implement gender-responsive programming for more than 7,000 girls in the Chicagoland area. Designing evidence-based curriculum and published scholarly work highlighting the holistic needs of girls. Her work supports organizational development and research, capacity building for girls serving organizations both nationally and internationally. She's international, y'all. Sharita's focus remains steadfast in ensuring that girls of color, particularly Black and Latina girls, have resources, voice, and power to thrive. By integrating community-driven research, human-centered design, and practical solutions, she strives to dismantle barriers related to poverty, violence, health disparities, and marginalization, fostering growth, resilience, and leadership among urban girls. Please join me in welcoming Sharita Morrison, an inspiring advocate and steadfast champion for equity and empowerment in the lives of urban girls.
I don't need an introduction. Don't introduce me. Let's go. But I did not give her a moment. And I'll say this very quickly. I was thrilled when my teachers were like, what is going to happen to her? Because she's been a lot up and down these hallways. But I realized that when people pour into you, and there is a village that believes in you, believes in things that happen in your life. And so it's why I won't give up on her. I just won't. I don't care if she's gangbang. Come on, sweetie.
I know that's
Because
right.
there's something for you. There's a purpose for you. And so that's why we're here today, to honor and to amplify the voice of our girls. I believe, they know I am, events like this, I always want us to feel comfortable because we're a community. So if something happens with the tech, okay, something happened with the tech. So are we ready for the video or we can move forward? Where you go? Okay, well let's watch the video and then I'll give you instructions after the video. All right? we can look at the images. Is that all right? Okay. So I want to ground us in the conversations that we're going to have. And I want to make sure that we understand what this place is, what we're doing today. We are not here today to brainstorm strategy, folks. To go into small groups and talk about, oh, this is what we should do. We've done that before. We're not here to talk about our recommendations.
First thing I think about when I hear well-being is your health, being happy, taking care of yourself. Well-being to me means expressing your emotions and also being able to communicate with people about your emotions. And my time being in Chicago, I've been able to talk to people about my emotions, my mental health, and it has helped me just become a better person and become more myself.
I just think it means we just take care of your community, and the people around you, and we support each other.
This is well-being in Chicago. Your mental illness does not define you, and your struggling things.
This is how it looks in Chicago when it's summertime. You see a bunch of leaves from the birds. You also see a bunch of stuff from the beaches. And you can also see a bunch of trees. And you might see little dogs. And make sure to have self-awareness.
Well-being needs to be like the state of being comfortable in your community or around people, around like where your mindset is, where your mental health is at, or like where you stand physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's like being able to be comfortable and happy around people, being able to like let your feelings go and stuff. That's what well-being is.
For me is that girls having self-respect, respecting each other, having an open mind, being open to the community, like helping out the community, respecting the other girls, making friends, being nice to everyone, and like making events so people can come out and having a session with other like girls.
Okay, I think wellness means to me is more of a physical journey that I do. Like, for example, like washing my face, making sure I pray, things like that. The vision board, again, was really nice. I really got to understand more deeper about physical health and spiritual health, because I didn't know much about that, so I really got more knowledge about that subject.
You survived the video. So, I was saying what we're not here to do, right? But what we are here to do is to make sure that we get everybody fired up. Because the real work happens via our call to action to build communities of practice, to work on a quality of life plan for girls in the city. That is a major endeavor. It's such a big endeavor that national eyes are on us to say, can Chicago really do that? I think they can do anything. And we can. And we can. Like you say, and can. And will. And will. And will. So a couple of things. Number one, I want to call out the attention of all of those who helped to make our white paper possible. The white paper is absolutely finished. It's how we got to this executive summary. However, our designers are doing something different with the digital layout. So they asked us for a little more time. And we said, yes, you have it. So on the back of your executive summary, you see a QR code. define what it means to be an urban girl and what is that urban environment. And so I want to read this definition so when you see it, you know what we mean. It's only just from Chicago. Because we know every girl's experience in the city is not the same. It's not the same. So it means those who identify themselves as female identifying residing in urban spaces, particularly those facing systemic challenges in areas such as health, education, and safety. Urban girls, particularly those in marginalized communities, are the cornerstone of our work at CUT. While many of our research, policy, and advocacy efforts aim to improve the lives of all girls in Chicago, we focus specifically on those living in underserved neighborhoods whose experience compounds disparities. So when you hear us say urban girls, that's what we're talking about. So what we're going to do, and I will say this to another reality around our lexicon that informed us, was we were vacillating as a team. You know, do we say Latinx? Do we say Latino? What do we say? We talk to some old school in the community. We talk to some new school. And so we said, let's just take some girls. And the girls said, Latina. We don't talk about you. Please, when you're identifying us in this white paper, please call us Latina. Okay, great. Thank you. Take it to the source. Adults, we can complicate things sometimes, and they're just like, my name is just this. I have to say anything else. But what we're excited about today is to be able to present some of the data, some of the compelling data. The white paper itself to me is compelling as a whole. So I look forward to being able to have some team meetings, talk, lay on the couch and read it and absorb it. But what we did today is to print out some of the compelling data from each one of these spheres from Maslow's hierarchical framework to talk about what it means in these specific tiers, how are girls functioning physiologically, safety, their love and belonging. And so what we're going to do is each of you were given a neighborhood when you walked in. They said, can a person pick and say, oh, I grew up in Inglewood, can I pick you? I said, no, because the girls need you in Roseland, so get to a different neighborhood. We love our neighborhoods. So does everyone have a neighborhood? Yes. All right, let me hear you call out your neighborhood. I'm hearing that. Austin. All right, back to the yard. Humboldt Park. Inglewood. All right, Roseland. I heard that. So what we're doing is you're going to take that neighborhood and you're going to find your neighborhood board. And we're asking you, once you get there will be some navigators from our team just to help you. They're not here to inform you of anything other than to make sure you have access to everything you need. We want to give you a few minutes to just focus on those boards, to read as many of those tiers. We know you're not going to get through it all. That's why we're going to send you these documents afterwards. But just to read and to see what really stands out to you from each one of these tiers. And then there's a separate board next to it where we want to gather reactions. So there's some post-its there. We gave you this beautiful pink pen. There's some pens over there. And we want you to write down reactions to what you read on that reaction board. And then we'll reconvene and we'll move forward. Okay? Everybody has the instructions? Yeah. All right, so let's have some music and let's go to our hood. So if each one of our navigators will stand by their board. the main seating area. 2 minutes.
One minute, we're wrapping up. Start making your way back to your seats. 1 minute.
Okay, so we are reconvening. We're coming back together. Okay. And as we come to our seat, I'd like to just call a few things to your attention. Our goal was to try to fit as much of the executive summary and a few other things on that on board. So you know we can fit the sources on the board. But that's the QR code for the sources that are on boards that you listed. But we also want to bring attention to Sinai, Early Health Institute, and a report that came out, a study that they conducted with almost 1,000 girls across the city of Chicago. And it is very telling about the mental health capacity of our congregation, where they are. And so it helps to inform a lot of the work that we do in the white paper. So I just want to bring it to you. You can access their report there. We read a lot more about it in our work in the white paper. If we can go to the next slide, I do want to bring attention to Asia Jackson. Asia was our beloved project manager. And while we were working diligently on trying to, because as a person who gathers data, this white paper would have been 1,000 pages, but this is so much. You need someone to help manage the project. Well, we lost Asia while we were working on the paper. And just such a beautiful soul, and a young lady who embodied everything that we want our girls to thrive, to live, to dream, engineer, doing amazing work, and yet committed to community to work with us. And so we wanted to pause to honor Aisha in this moment, and her time with us. While it was so short, she impacted so many people. And so her parents are here today. founder of the Center for Food Ethics and Medicine, where their work champions the cause of food insecurity for people who are facing cancer, for cancer patients. And so while they're working so hard for everybody else, you know, they have some children who also dedicated their lives to the community. And so we just want to say thank you for the gift that you gave to us in Asia. And her legacy will live on with us. You'll read more about her in the actual white paper, because we know she would be here, and she's here with us today anyway. Every timeline that she put before us to say, we must move forward. And so, thank you. And we just want to honor you. Okay. And I love this picture of her. So I'm going to call my conversation partners, and we wanted the reason why we put this like to feel like we're just at the table. Let's just have a table conversation. You all have just viewed some of the key data points. There's a lot more in the white paper. We could not put everything on these boards. And so I'd like to invite Dr. Brittany, Miriam, Dr. Kisha, and Eva to join me at the table. As they're coming, I have to admit that, wow. Maybe like Big Mama sitting at the table, at the end of the table, navigating the Thanksgiving dinner. But I have to admit, because the work that we have done, and I would never say never, the work that we have done continue, we do collectively. And so I want to give a shout out to AJ, our new president, Aisha, Eric, who is our president of CUB, because legacy means nothing if there's no one to pass. So someone has to white paper and element, all of our interns, Adam, thank God for Adam. And I would have to stop because it was too much. What I was reading about the sexual misconduct that is happening in our schools, in our detention centers, in trusted environments where we have given our girls care, in our communities, reading the voices of girls in newspaper stories, it became overwhelming. And so I would have to stop and say enough for today. We started music. And so I hope when the white paper is released, as you read, that you embody what our girls are experiencing in this city. It's not safe. I'm just going to say, this city is not a safe city for our girls. And so I want to start there. About that. And how vulnerable our girls can be in these environments, especially in the city. And it's funny that my sister Kisha just sat right next to me, because you work with girls in detention, justice system, human trafficking, gender responsiveness. Kisha's title was about 5. I let that title alone. So if each of you, can we get a couple extra mics up here so that we don't have to pass this down? Who are you bringing into this room with you? What girls?
I'm bringing every girl from underserved communities. I'm bringing every girl that wakes up motherless, whether she has passed on or walked away. I'm bringing girls to this space who are in the detention center for years because they don't have a space that they can get treated. I'm bringing girls into this space in Chicago. They're working right now to survive, to eat, to feed others.
really, I want to bring in the little girl of me, the little girl that wanted to stay, and I want to bring her into this space, and that's just the girl that just wanted to stay space in her home, a little girl still looking for love, a little girl still trying to heal in Chicago, in my neighborhood, where I was born and raised, that little girl, and I know that just being here, I'm a rock who I identify as. Yeah. Thank you for your question.
Thank you for having me here today. I'm thinking a lot too about the girls who are showing up to school, they're getting A's and B's, their attendance doesn't show us red flags, and yet they are really suffering in silence and going through a lot, not have the supports in place. A lot of girls are still there every day and are doing what they're supposed to do, and are totally overlooked. I'm also a mom, and I have two little girls and a boy. He matters too, but two little girls. So I bring them forward everything I do.
Thank you. I would also like to acknowledge those girls who are kind of in that middle space. We always have opportunities for high achieving girls, we have opportunities for low achieving girls. We don't really have anything for the girls who are kind of floating in that middle space. So I want to bring them into this space. I always bring my cousins into any space that I enter, and I think about the opportunities I wanted to have and I want to create through the growth program that we have. And I really honestly want to make sure that the future girls who haven't even been born are into this space and we're thinking about the world we want to create for them. If Chicago is currently not a safe space, how are we going to make it so that we're bringing in girls into this community, into this environment that is safe, that is, something that we can actually want to push, that we should have kids, right? But otherwise, how are we going to take for granted this space for us not safe? So I think about those things as well.
That's the one, that's the mic. That is the mic. That is the mic, and my student teacher said, I am not yelling, I'm projecting my voice. So she taught us how to do that in Little Technical High School now, Math and Science Academy. But Dr. Brady, while you have that mic, you focus a lot on not just girls, but also women too. And I think it's so interesting that, in a city where over 30% of the population of our homes are led by single women. That says a lot about the future, right? It says a lot about the presence of girls who may ultimately become leaders of households alone. Get that, alone. So in your work, you work a lot, you're combining strategies with women and girls. But what would you say about the value of having an initiative that's focused specifically on girls? Because we've noticed that a lot of times when the conversations are gender related or boys, girls, men, but it's, in those type of constraints, it doesn't always get with girls. And then there's either a men's initiative or a boys initiative. But for some reason, we are put together. What is the significance and the importance of girls having a focus and really put our attention on?
Thank you for that question. So honestly, it is about early intervention. We have got to make sure that we are providing opportunities, resources, strategies, and centering the wellness of our girls early on. And I'm talking about babies, right? So Jamila and I have these beautiful 2-year-olds. But when we look at the toys that we have for little boys, it's trucks, it's cars, it's every little thing in the store. There's an animal on it. I hate it so much. I really do. I just want red little clothes and just have clothes. But when I look at the stuff with the girls, it's baby dolls, it's a stroller, it's bottles. So we're teaching girls at 2 that they are going to be nurtured, that they're going to be caregivers, that they should be prioritizing other folks and not their own selves. And then when they start to do that, then they're selfish, right? Or they don't do it at all, and they just kind of go through life and just figuring it out on their own, or they don't have resources. And so we have got to make sure that we are not treating our girls like little women, right? We have to make sure that girls have opportunities early on to understand that there's a range of emotions. It's not just happy and glad. Like we have over 50 different emotions we can express, but we have to teach them that. We have to help them to advocate for themselves in there any boys in here? I'm like, yeah. So y'all always think about everybody else? We gonna be selfish. It's all about us. That's right. It's only for us. We're like, what? Just us? Yes, that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that you all prioritize and care for your love and your support and you're not to have your innocence because you are not here to just breed children and to just be so much nurture and protective. You're here for your own self-preservation, and we have to have been in from birth. So that is what I think about.
Thank you so much for that. Now, can I ask you a question? Because even as representing the CB Group Foundation, a strong supporter of our organization as well as several girl serving organizations. We'll talk about the lack of support in terms of funding that our organizations are receiving. But right now, you all sponsored Hub and Launch, the White Paper, and the Sinai Paper. What is the interest at CND? Why does the investment in girls?
Yeah, thanks. And I always like the blush when people clap for our work. We're not the ones serving girls at the front line, so really the applause is to everyone who's out there doing the work. We're really grateful to be able to support it. So CND Group Foundation is obviously connected to Chicago Work and College Change. So people are often surprised by the work that we do at the foundation level. We fund education youth-based initiatives from preschool to college and career. And most people think of our work as STEM. We've been funding computer science education for 10 years. And so when we started going into this space, there were, what? Why are you funding girls' mental health and well-being? That doesn't make sense. And really, it came from for a few different reasons. One was I worked with my board and we thought we aren't being responsive enough to what we need to do right now for our youth. And how are we supposed to prepare someone to be a leader in computer science or in STEM or to join our CB Group Foundation Scholars Program in college someday? If they're not being taken care of early enough and thinking through all of the different kinds of support, the mentorship, the well-being, therapy that they need. And so we decided we needed to start, AJ talking, look at the white paper, there's a lot in there about we use the framework of the math as higher safety. You really can't reach those higher levels if you're not being taken care of in other ways. So that's where we came from. The other part I'll say is that, kind of building off your comments, is when I say what we are interested in funding, where our grant and focus areas are, I've never been questioned about why do you fund K-12 computer science education? No one wonders that. Why do you have a scholars program? Why do you fund it in college? No one wonders that. When I said we're funding girls' mental health and well-being, what? Why are you funding that? Why not boys? I've gotten that many times, and the boys matter too. I'm not trying to, this is not at only, but only 2% of philanthropic funds nationally go towards women and girls serving organizations. And if you talk, so we spent a full year before we invest in this area talking, listening, learning from people in the field, many of you in this room, thinking about where do we invest next and what should we be doing. And so many people were saying, I have lines of people principals knocking on our door for programming that I can't give them because I don't have funding for girls programming. My boys programming is well funded, but not my girls. I talked to my calling out Chief Bogart at CPS. Great partnership. I talked to her, I said, we want to invest in this space. We're thinking to do all students, kind of rise all tides. She said, no one's thinking about girls right now. Will you please just do the girls then? And that helped drive it through. And so I think we have to get past the point where we're wondering why people need to and start thinking about how do I get involved.
Yes, that's it.
Love it. We're just rotating like that. But we did not. The interesting thing is in 2010, the Illinois status report of one girls was released. I was a young CEO at Toronto, and I attended an event similar to this where they released that report. The data was all about Black and brown girls. And myself and our director and maybe one other person were the lead
countries and then coming here and having to adapt to foreign culture. And I think trying to bring them together and understand how we function as one in this society. Because it's not, it's just being there for the youth and the team is just very important because it's almost, how is it possible to function in society with how you say with the different cultures.
So when you see stats like about parentification, right, and that black girls, black brown girls experience parentification, we know it. They have to pick their sisters up from school. They're working. They're contributing, financial contributors to the household. There's an expectation sometimes that our girls will participate in the family budget, like you have to bring funding into the home. How do you consider that in terms of providing services to them and support you all provide this organization? And then you all are drama centers, so you kind of balance coming every time. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, all the team, and that's something by paying, making sure that their time is being valued and making sure that they're getting paid at the end of like coming to the center. Make sure that they're taking new information, educating themselves on something that we're working on now is teaching on renewable energy, how solar energy works, and what kind of jobs and training is available for the teams to get on board with this field because there are things happening and we're just not always aware and we need to see people like, just mentors myself. It's just so very hard to say I'm a mentor myself, I'm a leader. And just being there and reaffirming that we are leaders. I am a leader and saying it out loud is very, very important. So just being a mentor and making sure that they're getting paid and they're taking something home that they can, talk about with their family. This is a field, this is something that I see somebody else talk about, make their money out, something like that, but
Thank you so much. So Dr. Kisha, we're talking about the safety in the CFP, in the Sinai data, they found over 50% of girls in our schools say they don't feel safe. So, but we also talk about the safety of girls when we are in our systems of care. So if a young lady is in, a girl is in CMS or in juvenile detention, or wherever she is in the system of care, we would think that that person would be safe. And I told Dr. Kisha in the white paper, we hold no punches. We found stories that were devastating about girls being sex trafficked out of some of the systems of care. And so you come from a gender responsible framework. And oftentimes people will look at this work and they say, well, where is the trauma informed? But if you look at gender responsiveness, trauma informed is one of the components of being gender responsive. So what are the strategies? What are the gender responsive strategies that our systems need to consider when we're talking about care for our girls? You go on the street, you meet girls out in the community. What are some of the strategies that you need to consider?
So first of all, I think the systems need to set up strategize around how to help girls. I think that we are dropping the ball because we're not bringing them to the strategy sessions. And so we know what we think they need. And we think that we're really engaged with our young people, but they know better. And so until we start asking them what they need, it's a dream bird, pretty much. But some of the strategies that I think that would help when it comes to youth and care is to, first of all, we have to be culturally sensitive to different cultures. When she said what she said, I believe you. Because so many of our centers, they don't take culture into consideration.
Right.
And so we don't teach young people how to develop relationships. And if they don't know how to develop relationships, they don't understand when relationships are toxic. They don't understand when relationships get dangerous. They don't understand when their safety is being threatened because we have not taught them how to establish and maintain relationships. And we don't talk about the young girls who don't know better and they go into these systems and they groom for systems. And so we look at systems and we say, how did this take place? Because one girl came into the system and they saw that she was vulnerable and they used that young girl to get 4, 5, and 6 other girls. And so we don't intercept that, intercept those toxic connections
And that happens as early as intake. That happens in police cars. That happens in conversation, giving your social media information, and then the grooming starts from that point on. And so we're missing the intersection because we're starting in programming. And so we have to start prior to programming because these things are relational. Girls are relational. We don't talk to each other. We don't talk. And so if you are at the entry point of any connection to any kind of system, you got to understand the language to intercede, right? So if you don't know what they're talking about and they're talking in code, you don't know how to intercept that. You don't know how to guard that young girl who's being groomed, or you don't know what that looks like. So the first thing for system leaders in the room, learn the language. Learn the language. Don't sit behind desks and think that you can strategize for individuals that's in the street. You have to start inviting them into the spaces. You have to go into their spaces. When in Rome, you do as Romans do. If you don't understand how to speak that language, you can't interact. And so that is my first advice for any system leader. Get from behind desks. Start creating community-based programs where individuals feel safe enough to come in spaces. We can't be hearing there's no connection there. And so we have to become aware of what's going on with our young ladies, create spaces where they can feel safe and tell you what they need.
So, I told you to set up today just with the teasers to help you get fired up so you will join us in the calls and action that comes after this session today, our gathering. So they're holding up the time and they're like, oh my God, we just sat down, we didn't eat yet. These conversations will continue. They hold up the plate. It's time. But as we close, because we do know that we have some people who are going to give reactions that are just some time constraints. What's the message? What's the message? From your particular sector, what's the message? What's the message to the last people? What's the message to the people in the system? You already gave something, but give us what's the message to the funders? Even because we have some funders represented in this room today. What's the message?
The message to the girls in the system is sit down at a table, converse, and create with those young ladies, not outside of that table.
What comes to mind? You're welcome at the table. Bienvenidos a la mesa. We're here. Aquí estamos. We're at the table. We are welcome at the table. And I think that's my message.
That's it. Yes.
I would say don't be afraid to jump into things that don't have an RCT evaluation. Trust the women who are leading this work and trust that they know what they're doing with the girls, and so it can be fun in that sense. The other quick thing I'll note, I have to say this before we end, every event I'm ever at that's about girls, look around the room. Thank you to the 3 men who are here. But it's always something because women are going to be the ones who move this and make this happen. If you go to an event that's focused on any other topic, you get men and women, everyone there. Women have to carry the load for all of this. And so we have to make sure you're also taking care of yourself and pulling more people into this conversation, funders, advocates, anyone else you can, because it's a heavy load to carry.
I'm so glad that you said that because mine is going to be very similar. I feel that it is amazing and beautiful that we are always here and we're always showing up. But the intersectionality of being a woman and being a person of color and being in a place that systematically denies your reality because of who you are is exhausting. So to have allies in this work, to have folks who show up and who are of different genders, who are different cultural and ethnic backgrounds is how we move this thing forward. We need folks in the community who are about this work, who are serious, want to show up for our girls. It is not a game, it is life and death for our girls. It is very, very, very serious. So we need to make sure that those folks are here to take on their listening to what needs to be done. We can all be a part of this conversation. We can all move this thing together. It will not be the folks in this room. We have over 57 girl serving organizations who are represented in this white paper, and there's still so much work to be done. Like, that is crazy, right? So we just need folks to be about that work, and we need people to show up and be allies and be consistent. That's what our girls are.
Table talk conversation. So we are going to transition to get a couple of reactions from a couple of key people in the room. So thank you all again. Let's clap it up for them. So our first reaction to the data. City Clerk Arnold Valencia, could you share some of your reactions?
Well, thank you for having me. I love that I've been to like 3 events already this year, and I see so many similar faces of the women who are doing this work and who are educating us, and then new faces also of expanding this work. And it just fills me up. And so as a citywide elected, this is something that we need to all think about from every level of government, of how we can be part of the solutions. And when I think of government, I think of us helping execute. The great work comes from the ground up. And government is to open the doors and help change the policies or facilitate conversations or convene or fund, which DFSS has its own basically foundation arm of the city. I think it's $25 million, right? $25 million they fund and they have these spaces. And so 8 years ago when I came to this space, I felt like it was still kind of building. Where it is now is a movement. And I'm just so proud to be a part of it. And I just ask all of you to guide us in where we need to go and how we can use this platform, the city's platform, to elevate the work and bring partners, especially the 2% national number. 2% funding into girls programming nationally is disgrace. And it really says the value that we put on our young girls and our women. If we want the first woman president of the United States and a Supreme Court that's all women, then we have to invest in our young girls for the future. So thank you for having me.
Jamila Trammell from Ladies of Virtue.
Hello everyone, my name is Jamila, and I'm the newly elected steering committee chair for the Coalition of Urban CEO of Ladies of Virtue. So everybody raise their hand if they have mentored girls. Because that's what I'm talking about. Give it up for this room. I know for me personally, I've seen firsthand the transformational power of mentorship. I've seen how girls who didn't even know what they were going to do in the future earn a PhD because a mentor exposed her to the world of higher education. I've seen girls, even in our program, who cried when we called upon them to speak, but now they're leading organizations with confidence. This type of transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens because someone saw her brilliance and invested in it. So thank you, Eva, for shouting that out. The critical question that we've all been saying is, are the girls with? Here's what I know about our girls from the South and West Side of Chicago. They are brilliant, they are powerful, they are resilient, and unapologetically themselves. So just imagine what's possible when every girl in our city is surrounded by people and systems who truly believe in the work. And that's what we do with the Coalition of Urban Girls. We collaborate with one another, we support each other's events, and we share best practices. So shout out to everyone a part of Coalition of Urban Girls, Focus Fairs, Mean Girls, so many are represented today. It's not like how when we were growing up. When I was growing up on the South Shore, I grew up in the South Shore community. And back then, there was only one major organization for us. But today, girls in Chicago have options based on their unique interests. And that is amazing in and of itself. This is what bold vision, collective action, and relentless advocacy can do. But the truth is, our progress, our collective progress, has not met the demands of the investment for our girls. As Eva said earlier, less than 2% of all charitable giving goes towards organizations focused on women and girls. So for me, the question isn't just are the girls will, are the people in Chicago will? Because how can we listen to the testimonies of the girls? How can we read the statistics and not act? Let this be a wake-up call to us all that our girls are leaders But brilliance without support is a failure of responsibility. So I encourage us all to be bold enough to give your time and talent and support our Black and brown girls. Our girls have waited long enough.
From Girls Opportunity Alliance.
I really am just in awe of the work that's happening here. Just a little background for some people in the room. I am a girl who was a product of the one Delta Dance. So she was coming that way. And thank God for you. Okay, and thank God for your yes. Because of you, I am who I am. That I know my purpose in this life, in the land of the living. I know what I'm supposed to do. Okay? And so when CUG actually relaunched from SCUG to CUG, and I led it as president. And so to be able to talk about legacy, right? What good is it to leave something and not have a successor to continue the legacy that you started? So we have to do better with passing the baton, preparing people right now. As I'm leading, I have to have somebody that's beside me that's leading too, because then they have to take it. And so I was blessed to even have AJ, thank you AJ, hey girl, in the back, and for her to now take this torch. She was already made to be the president, even while I was leading as the president. So thank you for your leadership and where you're taking this organization. Y'all are doing great work. I'm like, literally just saying, oh, I came here like, who is it? Like, I get this event. Like, it really did. Like, it just feels so good. But in terms of the reactions and understanding our girls well, I think the answer is no. Our girls are not well. But they can be. They can be if all of us are activated. We have to do something. We have to do it together. It's not about silos. It's breaking down the silos. And so from government, and talking about it, all the way to the grassroots level, we have to stay in consistent conversations with one another, be in the same room, start to move the things that need to be moved. And even if you are not a girl serving leader, you still have a role and a responsibility to the girls that's in your community. We can activate you too. You might know somebody that knows somebody that could be another resource for us while we're doing this work together. So I just want to say thank you for the work that you all are doing. You know we are all a family. We're in this together, and I just love being here. So thank you so much.
Unlimited Potential.
Thank you guys all for having me. My name is Angela Thornton, and I am the CEO of Unveiled Potential, an organization that we effectively call the House. So I'm very new to this space. I didn't start out to be a CEO of a not-for-profit. It just really started with me taking in young women, sometimes pregnant, sometimes children, sometimes living an alternative lifestyle. And I just found them like everywhere, just going about my everyday life. Young girls would come up and just started talking to me about just horrific things and the topics that they were doing. And I was like, well, you're homeless, come on home with me. And so my husband would say, well, how did this come about? All these people come to live in our house. You know, we came from New York, and he was like, I brought the Statue of Liberty to Chicago. But there was just a need for it. And then out of that need, I said, okay, let's create an organization so we can help more people. So we went from my house to the Up House. So which is a house on a 7-acre, 149,000 square foot campus that's just dedicated to the empowerment of young girls 17 to 24. In that space, we currently service 50 pairs, and so I was very much encouraged by the doctor who talked about youth in care and what they experience. And when you hear, and when I heard just some of the atrocities that happen to youth in care, it just broke my heart. They came in, some of them were just so angry, and we couldn't figure out the anger. But when you start reading the files, and we saw that this young girl was found in a closet with her sister in the winter in Chicago, covered with old clothing, and a neighbor called because they had seen the mother, and that she had been raped by 3 of her brothers, and she had to watch her sister being raped. So then we started to understand, you know, that anger and the trauma that she was experiencing. So we started building programs around a lot of mental health. We're not a big proponent of a lot of medication, so we do a lot of yoga. Some of the girls just need to get out of rage, so we have like our rage room where you can punch a bag, you know, and it's also helping them work out, you know, as well. So we definitely have a whole trauma-informed program that's surrounding our young girls. But we're going to move beyond DCFS, so we're not going to dismiss the program, we're going to add to the program. Because as I'm going around to various conferences, there are other young people who are homeless that are not a part of the DCFS system, but they still need guidance and support. So we're going to open it up, and we'll be able to house 35 of those young women in the next several months. So
Thank you. And lastly, we'll have Jen Brown from the Alliance for Research for Chicago Communities from Northwestern Michigan.
Table and all those reactions because I'm still choked up. But the main thing that I wanted to take from my reaction is some of the opening question. What girls are you bringing with you? Because when we think about data and research, what girls are a part of deciding? Because and there was another comment around get out from behind the desk. The people who know what needs to happen are the people that should be the decision makers. And so when we're thinking about data and research, who are the people that are often deciding the questions, who are deciding how those questions will be asked, what the answers will mean? Until our research universities look like this room, can we get around where there are and after then, the people who are impacted by what's being learned have to be the ones that are asking the questions, collecting the data, understanding what it means, and deciding what to do with it. So we need to be, and all of you are, and I was going down the street and going, oh, our y'all are making that way of what that looks like for girls serving organizations and girls themselves to be taking that storytelling power. And that's what it is. Because it's not only the number data, it's their stories. It's understanding their experiences and their dreams. So thank you all for continuing to ask those hard questions, bring the people to the table that need to be asking the questions, sitting with the people who will have the answers to those questions. All of our stakeholders, speakers for giving their reactions. So now we are going to have a special young woman, Angelique Velasquez from Building Girls to Women, and a mentor at Aspira Contact High School. So Angelique, if you could come up, she's going to grace us with a performance.
Hello everyone. So the monologue I'm going to be doing today is called Who Am I? So all my life I've been told, you need to learn Spanish. You should be ashamed of yourself that you don't know Spanish. Because I'm what you consider a no sabo kid. For those of you who don't know what that is,
who am I? And who are you when you're faced with those same questions? I'll tell you who I am. I am a Latina, and I am an American. Just like you, I deserve to be here. We deserve all the amazing opportunities that this life has to offer us. We don't have to listen to this fickle world that likes to tell us every other day, oh, you should look like that, you should say that, or be that way. Nah. We know who we are. And now that you know this, what are you going to do about it?
Thank you so much, Angelique. That's a very important question. Who am I, right? And when we think about this work, all of us have an identity and an experience that helps us to propel this work moving forward. So thank you, Angelique. So now I am going to introduce our executive director. Aisha Gary is the executive director and president of the Coalition on Urban Girls, which began as the Southside Coalition on Urban Girls by Denver in 2010 and transitioned to a citywide focus on prioritizing urban girls and advancing gender equity in 2018. She is a passionate advocate for the physical, social, and economic condition of women and girls, empowering them through a network of girl service organizations. With a strong background in relationship building and nonprofit innovation, Aisha collaborates with individuals and organizations to strengthen community ties and improve quality of life systems. Under her leadership, the coalition focuses on advancing research, policy, advocacy, and improving the wellness, safety, and health of girls. You can join me by standing to welcome our executive director, Aisha Gary.
As your protege, I came up here knowing how important this moment was to relaunch the coalition of urban girls. I'm not just representing myself, I'm representing an alliance. So we have 75 girl service organizations and agencies that the coalition works with. And I work with some incredible women, and so I'm gonna ask the STEM community leaders to please stand. And if you guys can just program knowing that this call to action are just the first steps to reimagining what's possible. It's about building a foundation, one rooted in core needs of our community. And just in case it was missed, we're doing this through Maslow's hierarchy of need. And the largest part of that pyramid is the physiological, and then what comes next is safety. We already heard from great speakers and leaders that Chicago is not safe. So when we're thinking about physiological safety, security, the quality of life is the question. That's what we're doing, right? How do we support every girl to have a quality of life? It's about reimagining the foundation of what's possible, because in this world, the ability to adapt, innovate, and reshape our environments is vital. The keys to this transformation, and you've heard it, is program development, community-driven research, smart policy decisions, and cross-sector response plans. Now, let's pose this question just to kind of cut through the noise, and if you don't leave with anything else, I want you to really, really take that question with you. Are the girls well? This is a strategic question rooted in the concern. I learned about concern in my church, okay? Harmony Community Church is located in North London, and my pastor talked about concern. And so when I examine the question, are the girls well? Concern overcomes me. You see, I have 3 girls. I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And so when I think about the truth of that question, I'm wondering about resilience. I'm wondering about safety and their potential. And are the foundations put in place for a collective future? They're a part of this community. If we fail to act decisively, we risk losing the next generation's promise. Our job is to build environments, physical, digital, and social, that serves as the bedrock for their growth. The Coalition of Urban Girls relaunch, we're a convener, as you can see. We do it beautifully. But there are other conveners here in the city of Chicago, and we are all harnessing community research to understand their needs. We're working to craft policies that foster safety and opportunity and foster partnerships that enables us to innovate faster and smarter, because we know that the clock is ticking. So building on that foundation, I want to introduce the Quality of Life Plan for Girls. So if that's new to you, this city responds to Quality of Life Plan, but it's often used to fund infrastructure programs, like infrastructure projects. So with our Quality of Life Plan for Girls, it's community-driven blueprint designed specifically to respond to girls, the constituents, the youth. This is to establish lasting change. A strategic pathway to build on the power of community and practice, where research, policy, and collaboration comes together to reshape what's possible. And here's the critical piece that you see on this slide, which is our communities of practice. The community of practice is a knowledge-sharing experience. So you bring the community together along with stakeholders, and you collaborate and you build support to develop that data connectivity and enhance innovation to design the blueprint for our Quality of Life Plan for Girls. Our call to action is an invitation to you in this space and for you to spread the word about the work to come. The invitation for the community of practice will be launched in June of this year, after we release our white paper on May the 30th. Also, the launch of our Girls Community of Practice in June. We bring together 30 girls, and we'll be reaching out to all of the amazing programs that's going on to recruit these leaders to be a part of this process of designing. And so we are bringing together girls, leaders, and community members to listen, learn, and design the blueprint of the Quality of Life Plan that elevates the voices of girls and those who serve them. I know what you're thinking. What you think? That collaboration sounds like it's on steroids. Yes, and building partnerships that are agile, informed, and unafraid to challenge the city's current state. You see, CUG and the city's response to this work is we're strengthening the entire fabric of our city. So now, here is the challenge. Those in this space are girls, parents, faith and spiritual leaders, advocates and policymakers. How are you reimagining the role of girls in your work? How are you amplifying their voices? How are you breaking down silos to build stronger, more connected communities? And because this is such a serious call, we're asking for you to really support us in building up that foundation. Because this demands action, not just words, and it requires us to listen deeply, act intentionally, and build environments where girls can thrive, for safety, opportunity, and community at the core. City of Chicago, how are you leveraging research to understand the complex, evolving needs of girls? How are you shaping policies that protect and empower? How are you fostering collaboration across sectors and across communities to reimagine what's possible? Here's the reality. Our community most valuable asset is not buildings or banks. Remember I told you that Quality of Life Plan is usually used for infrastructure projects. We are calling for it to be about the girls. This is a call to our leaders, advocates, and policymakers. Bring your resources and your ideas and your influences. And invest in this work, invest in programs, invest in community research that reveals the deepest needs. Develop policies that foster safety, opportunity, and resilience. Partner across sectors to build adaptive, innovative communities. Because this doesn't just happen in a vacuum, I am just so grateful for everyone who showed up today. And I want to amplify the coalition. We are seeking for you to support and become a member, so we're going to have that during our networking hour. And also just remind you that this is the Coalition on Urban Girls' 15th year. But a lot of you in this space, a lot of you in this space have been doing this work for over 30 years. Thank you, Sharita Morrison, for shining this bright beacon of light in this path. Believe me, it needed to be shined. And we are working, right? We are about that business. So I want to also send out special acknowledgments. Next slide, please. We are collaborators and we are working across the city. But also, if you are a convener and you would like to work with the Coalition on Urban Girls, please support this work. And I want to give a shout out to all of our organizers, our families, our faith, our spiritual leaders in this room. Your voices and your support is unwavering, and it's the backbone of this effort. So our call to action is to lead with purpose. When we collaborate with urgency, we reshape the environment around our girls, creating spaces where they can thrive, lead, and redefine our future. Thank you. So that's the close of our program. We're going to transition into a networking time. So feel free to, okay.
Let's say thank you again to our great president. And so, as we prepare, we wanted, come on back up to you, because we started off with sound. And we intentionally, if you were with us in 2018, we started off at the University of Chicago. It used to be SSAD, and now it's the Crown. Don't make money, your name. Right? But we came out of the room that day with sound. And so this is about a collective sound. This is a unifying sound. So I'm going to give us a challenge. Everybody stand up. We've been seated. As we prepare to go into our networking hour. So we've called out some communities in here, and although all the communities are represented, we are bringing them into this space. Because they need to be seen. They need to be heard. And so as Janelle prepares to send us out into charcuterie country, I want us to create a collective sound. And Brianna, come up here. This is my daughter. I have 7,000 children. You can say, you're the next president. Because I'm leaving, I'm transitioning out. But we got to pass the mantle. We have to pass the mantle. We have to pass. Let it go. Some people are let it go. There's other work for us to do. We're not done. I'm still here. I still have to pick up things. Right? We're still needed. Our wisdom is needed. And so as we prepare, we're going to know if you're really about like the young people. Because you'll show up to the communities of practice. It's going to take about a year for us to create this quality of life that I'm just letting you know. It's going to take some real work. But you're up for the challenge. You're passionate. And you have everything that we need. And the girl is going to do the work in their communities of practice. We're going to do this together. All right, so Janelle, so what we're going to do to it, as Janelle centers and grounds us as we prepare to leave this place, I want us to walk around this room and touch these boards with these communities' names on them. And we're declaring and decreeing something new that's going to take place in these communities because we're touching their names on these boards. Okay.
I just want to say thank you for letting me be a part of this as well. Thank you so much. I also have a call to action 2 days ago. So it goes to show that as we continue to show up for one another and continue to move forward, it just moves and just trust it and believe in it. So with that, we're going to close it out before we go into some comment with a little grounding. We all have to remind ourselves that in order for these young girls to receive, just as you spoke in the Take Thoughts, that it starts with us. And we have to remind ourselves how to run. We have to remind ourselves how to find our core, our center, to sometimes know what our voice actually looks and feels and sounds like. So, hopefully, if it is uncomfortable for you to close your eyes, do not do that. Okay? But for everyone that is okay, let's close our eyes. Let's keep quiet. And I want you to inhale. And as you exhale slowly, I want you to feel that grounding. And you can inhale again. And exhale. And that grounding point is the bottom of your stomach, your intuition. Continue to breathe in. Exhale. And that is the place that you guide. Continue to inhale. That is the place that when you need a reminder of how you're going to move forward, and how you're going to give to that little girl who shows up, and something sparks or something triggers you. Show her the answers. Pay it forward. Stand in the presence of her and show her how. Show her, remind her of the first time. We can all open our eyes now. Wonderful. So we'll do a little drumming, and we're all going to just slowly start with Ashe, and pick it up, and pick it up, and pick it up, and end the show.
Keep touching these boards.
How you doing? Good. How are you? I'm well. It's nice to see you outside of South Shore. We outside. Yeah, actually in January